how to help people feel that they can trust you. Number 3, market knowledge. Now this you can fully control. I would say everybody who's relatively new should go preview 50 houses and, you know, understand what things cost and what is a good updated kitchen and what is not an updated kitchen. Beyond that, I like to keep my tab on, you know, going through the trends and the market statistics. I read a lot of articles, I read a lot of books. And so when people come in, they understand that I have a good market knowledge. All right, can you convey these 3 things? The answer should be maybe, you know, hopefully yes, if you work on, you know, work on it. These are not things that take 5 years of experience. These are not things that, you know, you have to be a certain way. All right, so let's get right into the actual specifics of how to do this. So what I'm gonna do is share with you what it doesn't seem to work. And again, this is my system. I know of a lot of people that are very smart. They do it different than I do. They'll put a table up and kind of block people coming in and make them sign in and all that stuff. There's no judgment. This is my system. There's no wrong or right. So here's what I think, what I would consider average. People choose any open house, meaning they don't use a thoughtful selection, and I will teach you my thoughtful process. They pounce on people who come into the open house and they talk too much. They treat everybody the same instead of learning to qualify and cherry pick and giving the best prospects their full attention. They have weak or aggressive body language. It should be somewhere in the middle. I like to lean against things to kind of soften it a little bit, but I also convey confidence. If you haven't read books on body language, that would be a great place to start. Weak value prop. Everybody should understand what a value proposition is. It's the thing that makes you different. It's the thing that makes, what do you offer the world? Your value proposition. Most people can't verbalize it. We could also say sound bites, elevator pitch. What are those little sound bites that you do that's different that you can use to hook people? And obviously deliver on that value, not just to hook people. And lastly, weak close. Most people are really nice that I see. They're nice, they're friendly, they can make people laugh, they're charming, but they cannot close. They cannot get the appointment. So here's what I would say is the better process, or at least it works for me. Choose your opens carefully. Relax and ask questions. Qualify and ignore some people. That's a big one. I'm going to go into great detail on each of these subjects. Confident and disarming body language. So there's some kind of sweet spot where you can be confident and also kind of tone it back, especially if you're taller. Now, if you happen to be smaller of stature or shorter or whatnot, you might want to actually stand up more. So there's some things you can do to increase your stature or decrease your stature, depending on how you can make other people feel comfortable. Strong value prop, I'll go into mine, and a strong close. And so for me, I actually ramp up this process. So when they first come in the door, I'm actually very chill. Sometimes I even look down at my computer. I'll say, hey, come on in, you know, and then I'll look down and they're like, oh, okay, good. He's not gonna pounce on me. And then when they come through the kitchen, because I'm usually camped in the kitchen, that's when I start asking questions and making friends. And eventually I close very, very hard. So for me, I start off chill and I ramp up to a strong close. If you come on too strong, they freak out, but you have to end strong. Otherwise, you'll never make money from this. All right, moving on. So as far as having success in open houses, the number one thing is to hold a lot of open houses. The quality is in the quantity. So my conversion has gotten to be such that I can only hold 3 to 4 opens a month, because I set at least 1 to 2 appointments per open house. And then I get them into my office, they sign something with me. I'm doing business with them. I have to go show the houses. Yes, I do have some people that help with showing sometimes, things like that. Right now, I'm just a solo agent. I kind of trimmed my team back last year. So I've got to have time for showings and appointments and everything else. So I can only do 3 or 4 opens, and that generates 2 to 3 deals a month for me. If your conversion is not that high, you should do probably 10, 12, 15 open houses a month, maybe 2 every Saturday, 2 every Sunday, until your conversion is high enough. So number one, hold a lot of open houses. Number two, connect with people emotionally and close for an appointment. Number three, your goal should be 1 appointment and 2 nurtures for every open house. I define a nurture as a phone number and an email and some willingness to talk later. Start casually, close hard. Talked about that. Set appointment ASAP. So in my experience, if you set an appointment, every single day counts. So if you set an appointment, try to set it for today. If it's a Saturday, try to say, hey, let me lock the door. Let's do it right now. If it's a Saturday, oh, how's tomorrow morning look for you? Oh, I'm so busy. You know, Sundays are so busy. Great. How's Monday look for you? What time do you get home from work? Oh, it's so late. I get home at like 6. Great. How about 6:30? Like every single day that you push it out, I think the odds go down probably 10%, 10 or 15% that they're actually going to show up. So if you go Saturday, you set the appointment, and Saturday there you say, oh no, I can only meet with you next weekend, and it's a whole week. I'm going to give it a pretty, 40, 50% chance they'll show up. I mean, your odds are way down there. So you have to learn to be a little pushy to get them to meet with you right away. Very important point. Confirm the appointment twice. So I have a form, which I will, if you go to that website, you can download this. It's an actual form I make them sign in order to get the appointment. And I take a picture of it. I literally make them initial that they're accepting the appointment. It kind of puts them on edge, and it has totally doubled my ability to get people to show up to these appointments. And then I also send them a Google Calendar invite, which I'll give you the text for that. And then I call and I text. And so I'm following up actually 3 or 4 ways before. All right, and then long term, if you want to, let's say you're doing all this stuff, right? You're holding a lot of opens, you're connecting, you're working on your close, you're setting appointments. Maybe your conversion is not quite where you want it to be. Long term, you need to perfect timing, scripts, body language, and sales skills. And that is a lifetime, but I would say you really can read books on this subject. So let's say that you're doing okay, but something's off. I'm going to throw this out there to everybody. If you record yourself and email it to me, I'm happy to take a look at it and see if I can kind of reverse engineer it. Now, make sure you comply with all relevant laws locally. In Washington, we have to disclose and get permission from somebody before recording audio. So whatever your laws are, if you don't have those kind of laws, have a friend over with the phone recording and if you're struggling, my email, write this down, adam@adamhometeam.com, adam@adamhometeam.com. If you email me a link to that video, I'm happy to take a look at it and maybe give you some pointers, totally free, reverse engineer, because that's the part that most people struggle with, is they're doing something wrong or weird or off, or their legs tapping, or their body language is closed, or they're coming on too strong, or their jokes aren't funny, or something is off. And it's not a big thing. If you just tweak that one thing, all of a sudden you're making money from open houses. So I'm happy to do that for you guys. So number 2, learn to qualify quickly. So I have a series of questions, and then I have my sales spidey sense that pops up. And basically, if I don't get a good feeling, or if they're not playing ball, or if they won't give me their phone number, or if they're not into me and their feet are pointed away from me, right? We know through body language, if somebody's feet are pointed towards the door, they want to leave. So if I'm talking to them and they're like, and they're walking off camera, that's not my ideal client. I'm not gonna shed tears over that person. You need to perfect your buyer consultation so that they can't say no. So I have a very slick buyer consultation I've built for 4 years. I've added slides and charts and pictures. And at the end of that buyer consultation, I would say 80, 90% of the people sign with me. And so if you don't have something, most people just have like a basic piece of paper with a checklist, and they talk about a few things. That's fine. But whatever your process is, you need to get it to be so compelling that people will sign with you. And if it's not compelling and you can't get perfect strangers to meet with you and sign something, you need to work on that piece. Otherwise, all of this is for naught. All right, so before I go into, I'm going to go into how to choose an open. I'm going to go into qualifying. I'm going to go into all kinds of stuff, but I want to just show you real quick with my assistant kind of a couple of examples of what this might look like, because I'm afraid if we don't do that, we're going to run out of time, and that tends to be the most important thing. So Clarice, come on up. All right. Kevin, is she in the frame? Can you see her?
Yeah, she's on the frame. Looks good, guys.
All right, cool. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play an example of someone who's kind of the ideal buyer. And then we're going to play someone who's playing a little bit hard to get because she is a little bit scared. And then I'm going to kind of, either way, I'm going to get the appointment from her. So let's do the first one. And by the way, keep in mind, I'm in the kitchen on my laptop. She's going to knock on the door. She's going to look around the house, meet me back in the kitchen, and we're going to talk. Hello. Hi, come on in. Feel free to look around.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you want to buy one or two?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long you been looking?
Been looking for about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Wow, cool. Is this your first home or?
First home for open home.
Wow. Have you bought a home before in the past?
No, I
You haven't. That's exciting. Are you scared?
haven't. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. So where do you commute to?
I work in Kirkland and I live in Kirkland.
Okay, nice. Okay, so you work in Kirkland and you commute to Kirkland. Okay, nice. And so are you mainly wanting to stay within 20, 30 minutes of work, or are you willing to go a little bit further out?
Yeah, probably
Stay within 20, 30 minutes. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Has anyone showed you, can I show you something?
Yeah.
Let me show you something real quick on the screen. And so here's where I'm going to, one of my secrets that I've learned over the years is less talk, more show. So I always have part of my buyer consult on the screen, and I drag them back over at any point in time, whether you're asking about their timeline, anything like that. I drag them back over and I just, let me show you something real quick. And then at that point, I'm going to start teaching her. I'm going to start expanding, and her body language, she'll start to lean in. And then I'm going to close for an appointment. So that's kind of the gist of it. But let me see if I can show you guys. I'm going to come back to this information, but I'm going to show you. I know we're blowing through this. I promise I'll come back. So this is the stuff that takes 2 hours to get through. All right. So Clarice, so this, let me just show you has anyone shown you this? This is kind of like the process that it takes to buy a home. Are you familiar with how that works?
No.
So one of the things that a lot of people don't know about is that there's kind of the average home, and then there's like hot homes. There's homes that sell like within a week. Have you seen some homes that come on the market maybe on a Thursday and they're sold by Tuesday? Have you seen those?
In this market, 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, not all of them. So what I'm seeing right now is maybe, probably in the winter, it was maybe 30% were selling overnight. Right now, it's probably 50-50, because even though we're in January, it feels like that spring market has already started. That's kind of what I'm feeling. I don't know about you. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling.
Doesn't it feel pretty like hot?
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things, let me ask you this. Have you had a chance to meet with a lender and get pre-approved?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you only pre-approved, or are you also fully underwritten? Pre-approved. Okay. Are you familiar with the underwriting do you know what that means? So if you notice on my screen, Clarice, there's 2 steps. There's a pre-approval, and then you can actually take it fully underwritten or fully approved. And it doesn't really cost you any more money, but what it does is it allows you more, because I assume you're not paying, 50 or 80% down, right? You don't have that kind of cash. So one of the challenges that a lot of people that I talk to deal with is up against cash offers in our area. And how do they compete against that is being fully underwritten. Did you know that you, in some cases, can beat a cash offer if you are fully underwritten?
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to be a cash offer. You have hope. And so this is that dialogue that I'm going to have with her. And I might also talk about, what does the winning offer package look like? This is my exact buyer consultation. So I might also talk about schools. In my area, schools are big. So I built this. All I did was go to the MLS, come up with a map, and I went to PowerPoint and I put these little dots in. And so, Clarice, one of the things that we're standing in number 6, North Shore School District. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, or actually we're standing in number 4. If you just go up 1 or 2 exits, you can be in number 6, which is still pretty good. And did you know that the prices will drop like 15% instantly? 10%. Yeah. So we might want to talk about areas where you could still be within 30, 40 minutes of work. The schools are still good, but instead of living in an old, tiny little condo, you could actually be in something newer and nicer. Would that be something that you'd be interested in? Okay. Well, Clarice, let me just throw this out there. I mean, I'm pretty busy. I don't do this as much anymore. But one of the things that I like to do if I seem to have a connection with people, you seem really nice. And one of the things I like to do is sit down and go over the whole process. Now, most people I meet in an open house are maybe a little early. Is that you? Do you feel like you're maybe a little early in buying a home, and most people don't want to be rushed and things like that? Is that?
I feel ready.
You feel ready? So if that's the case, sitting down with me, there's no strings attached. You don't have to work with me or whatever, but if we get along, we can talk about that. I'd love to sit down with you, maybe give you a couple hours of my time and just explain the whole process and kind of do some searching on the screen with you. And do you think that might be of value to you?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, well, let me just grab my phone and just look at my calendar and see what I have available. Tomorrow, tomorrow I do have an appointment before my open house. I have a 9:30 a.m. appointment. Will that work for you?
9:30? Yeah.
You have a couple hours available? Okay. So let's do this. Let me get your information. I have a form here that I'm gonna just put your name, email, phone, got it. Now, if you could just, I'm gonna send this away with you, but I just need you to initial here that you're accepting your appointment. All right, perfect. And let me take a picture so I have all your contact information. Now, after you leave, I'm going to send you a Google Calendar invite as well, so it'll remind you, and then I'll poke my head in as well. So, good. Any questions for me?
Not right now.
Well, I'm excited to sit down with you. I hope it's good information.
Yeah. Me
Now,
too.
you're the only main decision maker, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. All right, cool. Well, thank you for coming in. We'll see you
Thank
tomorrow.
so much.
All right.
Nice to meet
You guys get that? So that was what I would call a red dot, someone who was really easy. And frankly, it happens like that all the time. I mean, if you can add value and show cool stuff on the screen, they will sit down with you, no doubt. Clarice, go back out. Now I want you to be someone who's not quite the red dot, like a slightly purple dot, somebody who you are into what I'm having to say. You like the slides, you're into it. However, you have some things you don't want to disclose. You're nervous about finances. You're early. You're nervous and you're early and you're not sure if meeting with an agent is the right move. Okay. Hello, come in. Hi, welcome. Are you staying dry out there?
Oh, barely.
Okay. Hey, feel free to look around. All right. What do you think?
I think it looks good.
Okay. Yeah. So how long you been looking for a house?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Right on. Right on. Have you ever bought a home before?
No.
First home.
First home.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's
Well,
exciting.
nervous.
Are you nervous?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. That's normal. Whereabouts are you looking? Are you looking mainly in Kirkland or a little bit outside of that, or
Mainly in Kirkland.
mainly in Kirkland? Yeah. Do you work around here?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. So you just kind of want to stay close to work?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you looking at just condominiums only? Are you also open to houses, or is this depends on the budget?
Yeah, it depends on what there is.
Depends on
I'm
what.
a little worried about like HOA dues.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The HOAs around here can be like 350. It's crazy. It's crazy. Can I show you something real quick? Let me just real quick before you leave.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm gonna go into whatever with her, right? I don't want to do it all again, but I'm gonna talk about schools. I'm gonna talk about whatever. So has that been helpful? Is that good information?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me throw this out there. I don't know if this makes sense to you. I don't do this as much anymore. Just kind of gotten really busy in my career. But if I seem to make a connection with somebody, I really sometimes like to sit down and go over some free information. I know you're probably pretty early in the process. Is that right?
Yeah.
And most people I meet with who are early just really don't want to be rushed, and they really want to be thoughtful about the whole thing. Does that sound like you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really right now.
No, I totally get it. One of the things that I've learned for people who are early and don't want to be rushed is that it can be very beneficial to sit down with someone like me, no strings attached, and just learn the basic process, kind of go through the finances, go through the areas, and just basically understand what your options are. Otherwise, what you might be doing is going to open houses that actually don't work for you, and you could be wasting 6 months of your life. If I would be willing to, I don't know if I have time, I'd have to look at my calendar, but if I do have time, would you be interested in sitting down with me and I could give you some free information?
Yeah, I think that would be.
No, tell me, no, you have to fight me a little bit.
Sorry.
Fight me a little bit.
I don't know. I'm pretty
Ask me
busy.
for my business card.
Challenge him.
My business card. Oh, I'm not carrying business cards. I tell you what, let me do this. I'm trying to save some trees today. Let me shoot you an email with my information and you can reach out whenever you want to. Do you hear that? This is my script. I don't make people sign in. So if they ask for the business card, I don't have business cards. I don't have anything with my name and phone number on it in the building. Ask me for my business card. Oh, you know what? I don't have any on me today. I'm saving trees. Let me do this. Let me email you my information and you can reach out whenever you're ready. What's a good email address for you? And a good phone number? So now I have everything. And the way I did it is, let me email you and you can reach out when you're ready. Like, dude, like I'm not gonna even follow up. And a good phone number. And you gotta look down with a tonality down and a good phone number. It's not like I'm asking, I'm basically telling her to give me the phone number. And then I'm gonna go back in for one more close. So she thinks I'm done, but I'm gonna go close her. So let me ask you this. It sounds like you're interested in this information, but there's something that's holding you back from meeting with me. If we were just to sit down together and go over this, do you think it would help you? Is there something I'm missing?
Yeah, I think right now I just have a lot of school debt that I'm trying to pay off, so I'm trying to get that figured out. So maybe being underwritten
I see.
and understanding that process might be really helpful.
I see. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you have a lot of debt and you're concerned that you might or might not even be able to afford what you really want.
Yeah.
And you don't know if it's appropriate to invest time in a meeting with me if you can't even buy a house.
Yeah, I don't want to waste your time.
You don't want to waste my time. Okay. You know what? Thank you very much for being respectful of my time. If I was willing to take that chance and sit down with you and give you a little bit of my time just to explore it, would you still be open to that? If, no strings attached?
Yeah.
Would that still be helpful? All right, well, let's do this. Let's put it on the calendar. I will help you, even if you can't buy a house. Just remember me, tell your friends and family, right? I will meet with you. There's no strings attached, if that's helpful. All right, so then we're gonna close. We're gonna do all the same stuff, all right? Is that helpful, people? That's the basic process. It gets a little bit more complicated, but if anybody starts giving me more flack than that, no, email me, but they're not your ideal clients. They're probably not going to set an appointment. Now, there are exceptions. I just got a phone call 10 minutes ago from somebody I met at an open house, and he remembered me. I followed up with him, but I had the wrong email address somehow. I don't know. And he wants to meet with me, and it's a $1.4 million buyer I met 3 weeks ago at an open house. So there are exceptions where if they don't set the appointment, they might still meet with you, but the exceptions are few and far between. I'm just gonna pull up my timer. All right, so we're already 30 minutes into this. So let's see if we can make some progress on the nuts and bolts of how to do this. All right, so bear with me.
Hey, Adam, if you got to
Yeah.
go over a little bit, go ahead. We can push just a ton, so that way you don't have to skip through too many. And while you're doing that, had a couple questions about whether or not scripts would be available. I think that might be maybe in the second part class that you have.
We're going to actually have scripts that are going to show up on the screen. You can take a picture. And if you go to this website that I told you guys about, my entire class packet with every script typed out, including the template for this appointment confirmation, it's all in there totally free. You just have to go to that website. But the scripts will pop up on the screen shortly. All right, let's go through this there, blah, 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 blah. All right. So let's talk about, we did role play. Let's talk about choosing an open house. So one of the things that I see is people choose open houses that are not supportive of their goals. you don't need 100 people through the open house. Personally, if you get your conversion up, I just need maybe 4 to 6 groups, and I'm going to set an appointment. That's me. If you get, have you ever been to an open house where you have like 30, 40, 50 groups? You can't really make that much benefit from it because it's too much traffic. So I actually prefer a little slower pace so I can have a chance to talk to people. But here's how I choose it. I don't know if everyone has the basic same MLS search tool. If not, then this concept still works for you. I basically go into our MLS search tool. I put in active. Can you get, Kevin, can you see my mouse pointer moving around? No? Active. So active
Sorry,
is
buddy. I was on mute. Yeah, we can see you moving around.
all right. So active is the ones that are actually on the market right now. I put in a price point that I want to work in, and then I search for homes because that's what I want. I prefer a single family home in a certain price point. I also, my office is located right here, and I live right here, and I geographic farm right here. Therefore, my preference is to do open houses in my geographic farm where I live by my office. And so I draw the shape on the map, and then I come up with a big list. I sort it by price. This is just me. And I go expensive to least expensive. And I go through every single picture until I find one that kind of works for me. Now, what's the definition of one that works for me? Well, this is a home with decent pictures. When you go through the pictures, the home has been updated slightly. It looks good. There's staging. So these are all the things that somebody who's online will look at when they choose which open house to go to. This home is also slightly overpriced. So it was 115 days on market, and it ended up expiring, and it did not sell. And I actually closed 2 deals from this open house. How did I close 2 deals from a listing that's been on the market 115 days? Well, turns out that the owner was also the agent, and she had not been doing open houses. So nobody had had a chance to get into this house. And so when I held it open, people went crazy and just started coming in, setting appointments with me. It was amazing. Now, here's the problem with this house. If you look on Google Maps, it's on the highway, like literally, this is the house right here. This is the house. It's got a junkyard in the back. It's got a busy road, and it's got a highway, but it's got good pictures. So most people who are looking at open houses don't go this far with their research. I like houses that are slightly flawed, who have been on the market for a while, and it has good pictures. And then you know what I'm going to do? I actually went to this open house like 3 or 4 times. I just camp it. Once I run the comparables, because of course I'm going to spend 30 minutes before my open house. I'm going to run the analysis almost like I'm going on a listing appointment. I'm going to look at all the data, and somebody comes in, I'm going to be very smart. I'm going to have market knowledge, all that stuff. Well, frankly, I'm a little lazy in certain areas, and I like to only do that research one time, and then I go back every weekend until the thing expires or sells, as long as the traffic is good. And so that's what I do, is I find a good one and I just camp it. I just camp it, and I don't have to put a lot of my brain cells into it. And then what I do is I save a lot. So I build a cart in the MLS, and I'll save like 10 different listings. And even if that listing is only been on the market like 1 day or 2 days, it's unlikely that you're going to get the open house from the listing agent. By the way, I don't sort by brokerage. I don't care if it's my brokerage or another brokerage. I'll call anybody. But I will put, even if it's on the market 2 days, I will put it in this cart, and I will monitor it, because the second weekend, they'll probably give it to me. And I had a couple of them where I asked, and it went 2 weekends. On the third weekend, 2 of them said yes to me. Before, they would not let me do it. But after a while, and I was very polite. I kind of sold myself. I have my own value prop too. So my value prop to the listing agent is, hey, I'm a seasoned agent. I know what I'm doing. And I promise I will send you a traffic report before I leave the building. I'll be your eyes and ears. I have a broom. I'll sweep the front when I first get there. So, if you haven't seen the listing in a while, I could be a good resource to you. And then I deliver on that promise. Before I leave the building, I send a very detailed traffic report. I'll show it to you, and you can also have it if you go to that link I gave you. All right, so the pipeline, building a pipeline of open houses and nurturing that pipeline will allow you to control the area and the price point. All right, so the basics. This is a class about conversion, but inevitably, a lot of the people that are watching this have probably been a little newer, and they might not know some basics. So I do want to go over that. Otherwise, you won't be able to say the right thing. Show up early and don't leave early. I've had people leave on me in the middle of an open house for some crazy reason. Be nice to everybody. Go the extra mile. Like I said, bring a broom, or bring extra foot covers, bring some soap and toilet paper. So I have all that stuff in my trunk, and I really try to serve the listing agent. Dress nicely. So this is, I'm not a big fan of dressing down, but maybe if your area, you don't want to overdress. If your area is chill, then by all means. Wear a name tag. So I like to have a magnet name tag. If you go to what is it, magnetnames.com or something, I don't know, you can get them cheap. I like to have a little bit of background music playing, so I have two little Bluetooth speakers. You can get Sonos, or I got mine for like 15 bucks on sale at Amazon, and it just has a nice ambiance, so it's not like silent when people are walking through. I have a notepad and a pen. So this is my notepad. It's not fancy or anything, and I have a pen, and it's sitting next to me at all times. And so if someone I don't make them sign in, but I'm going to grab their phone number, and I'm not going to be trying to scramble to put it down on something. And then do your homework, do your comparable search, know what other options are available, not just the sold, but also active. So if someone's looking, your open house is X number, whatever your area is, make it up. This is what the price is. Look around plus or minus 100, plus or minus 200K, so that you can say, oh, did you see such and such house around the corner? Oh, that one's really nice. And they're like, no. Like, hey, would you like me to go show it to you? All right. I don't generally have people sign in. That's not unless it's like a really big team listing and I have a second person with me. But generally speaking, I can get their phone number. I stand in the kitchen. I have my laptop open. I have something of value on the screen. If you don't have a fancy PowerPoint like me, just have something. Have the MLS, have greatschools.org, have something that you can teach from. Body language should be casual. In fact, when I'm in the kitchen, if you can see this, this is how I stand quite a bit of the time. So you got the confident piece and you got the casual piece. You won't see me doing, closed body language. You won't see me like this with my hands in my pocket. You won't see my leg tapping, which I see a lot of people doing weird stuff like that. Like, you're gonna see me probably leaning. The reason I like to lean is because it's disarming. It puts people, at ease. So work on that. Say a quick hello to people as they come in, and then back to the kitchen. So if the kitchen's far from the front door, I'll come in. Hey, welcome. Come on in. Hey, I'll see you. And then I'm out. And then you saw how I close. Everybody will come to the kitchen. It's your best window of opportunity. Nobody will skip the kitchen. I start a conversation process. This is very important. I start the conversation as they're entering the kitchen, not as they're exiting the kitchen. If they're coming in, you'll hear me crack a joke, and it's usually the same stupid joke. Hey, what do you think? Do you want to buy one or two? And they're like, what? I'm like, hey, buy one, get one free sale, or something stupid. And the reality is, if you don't talk to them as literally as they're coming into the kitchen, and let's say you're just quiet and you're meek and you don't want to intrude, and they come into the kitchen and they're looking around and now they're starting to leave, and you're like, hey, what kind of home are you looking for? What? All of a sudden the energy changes, and you will physically see that person take on a flight mentality, and they want out of there. And so it becomes a very awkward, I don't know the right word, toxic, not toxic's too strong, but it's just very awkward. It doesn't work. The chemistry is not there. So they have to be coming. So we talked about timing. This is so important to capture them at the right part of that. Sometimes I will do a two-step. So sometimes if the kitchen if they pass by the kitchen, I will chat with them and then let them go upstairs without closing. Now, it's unusual, but sometimes it's too awkward to force them to meet with you if you don't let them go look around a little bit. So sometimes I'll say something like, hey, go look around. It sounds like we had a good conversation. Go look around. Before you leave, I have one thing I want to show you on my screen about the school district map. So go look around and then just come back and chat with me real quick before you leave. And so that's how I do a two-step. If I know I can't close it and I need to let them leave and look around the house, then I'll dangle a little value carrot. All right, signage. A lot of people feel, you know, you got to put up a bunch of signs. I do try to put up a bunch of signs. However, if you're in a hurry, even one sign, just put a sign in the front yard. Most people are finding us on their apps. Unfortunately, in my city, I had some lady with a yellow vest come in. She was like the parking police. And she's like, sir, you put up 5 signs. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, in our city, you can only have 1 sign per block. And I'm like, what? Like, so we are limited to 1 sign per block. And you know what? That's okay. I'm still going to make a lot of money. You can, by the way, if you do a lot of signs, you will increase your traffic. All right. So let's talk about connecting and breaking the ice. So part of this is I can't catch on the role play. I can't capture. How do you make people feel warm, and how do you make people like you? And like, you have like 3 seconds. How do you make people like you in 3 seconds? Well, I don't know how to tell you. Body language is one of it. Tonality, how you do, and smiling helps. Market knowledge and charm and charisma and humor. So these are the secrets to, somehow getting that appointment. And I can't put all these things into words, but this is what it takes. We talk about discovery questions. You'll hear me say over and over again, what kind of home are you looking for? Well, half the time they're going to say, oh, I'm just a neighbor. And I'm going to be like, I love neighbors. So my follow-up script is, I love neighbors. How long you lived in the neighborhood? Do you still like it? When are you planning on moving? So I have no problem, but what kind of home are you looking for seems to open up the door to a lot of information. How long have you been looking? That tells me if they're like been kicking the tires for a year or if they're pretty fresh. I hope most of the time I want them to say, we just started looking. And I'm going to be like, great, you don't have an agent. When is your lease up? That tells me when is their drop dead. They have to be out. And so that's actually a really powerful one. Where do you commute to? You'll hear me say that all the time. That's because I want to pivot and I want to start talking about commutes and traffic flow. And I want to talk about, most of my Microsoft clients like to look in this neighborhood. Are you familiar with the basic areas that most of your colleagues are buying homes? Oh, you're not? Let me show you. Come here, look at my screen. And so I'm just going to use all these questions to pivot to show them something on my screen. This is one that I will use quite a bit, is the mortgage stuff. So cash or mortgage, are you fully underwritten? So I call that a pattern interrupt. If you've studied sales, you know the term pattern interrupt. It's basically like if you cold call someone and they say, I'm not interested. And you go, oh, don't hang up, don't hang up, don't hang up. And so that's a pattern interrupt to get them to go, what? And so these are things that break the pattern. So are you paying cash for this home? Like, most people are not paying cash for a home, but if you go, oh, are you paying cash or are you getting a mortgage? They'll laugh. They'll go, I'm getting a mortgage. And basically you just kind of complimented them as if, you look like you could afford this house cash. And then so any of these things could work. You'll see me using them interchangeably. And ultimately my only goal is to drag them to my screen, show them something of value, and close for an appointment. Kevin, is this making sense? Am I going too fast?
Adam, dude, you are rocking this, my man. You are hitting every nail right on the head. Keep going, man.
All right, we only have about 15 minutes left, guys. And this is a 2-hour class, so we're going. All right, so between questions, be sure you add a comment so it doesn't feel like an interrogation. So here's what I mean. Oh, how long have you been here? Let's go back. What kind of home are you looking for? I'm looking for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. How long have you been looking? Oh, like 2 weeks. When's your lease up? It's up soon. Where do you commute to? Gosh, you got to say like, oh, that makes sense. That's cool. Right on. Hey, are you scared? Oh man. So you've got to insert some chit chat in between these discovery questions. Otherwise you will make people freaked out. All right. The comments should teach, inform, and help. So as you're asking discovery questions, you're layering in your value. So it's not like discovery questions and then, well, let me tell you what I do. La 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 la. No, it's discovery question, sprinkle in value. Discovery question, sprinkle in value. And that's how you have a conversation and people start to like, by the end of this back and forth, they like you, they trust you, and they probably want to do business with you, and getting the appointment is relatively easy. But if you mess this up, you're going to basically say, oh, open houses are, you know, be ready to improvise and discuss the market, the trends, neighborhoods, process. You just need to be able to flow with it. Act like a human, crack jokes, comment on clothes and kids. All right, so that's discovery questions. So we talked about basically choosing an open house and then setting up, having music playing, looking nice, being professional. They come in, you catch them when they're coming in the kitchen, not when they're leaving the kitchen. You start a conversation, you're like a spider web. They come in the kitchen, let me show you something. You got some cool stuff on your screen to show them. Now you're close talking and you're cracking jokes, you're flowing with it, and you're not interrogating them. So now is the show value part where I'm showing them something on the screen and I'm giving them the goods. So the value proposition, if you guys have studied anything about sales, you know that a value proposition is your little soundbite as to what makes you valuable in your services. You should have a few things and think of it as a belt. And you've got these value propositions all the way around your tool belt, and you pull them out interchangeably depending on the answers to the discovery questions. So basic newbie sales, just say the same thing to everybody. Who cares? You'll get a deal eventually. As you advance, you're going to pull out value props. If they don't have kids, don't go on and on about the school districts, you know, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Some examples of value propositions: market knowledge. I name, so I got this from, I think, Dan Beer, naming your processes. And so I named my process an educational home tour. And so one of the things I dangle in front of people is I say, now listen, a lot of people like you who are early, they don't want to be rushed. Does that sound like you? Yeah, I don't want to be rushed. Sounds good. Let's do this. Let's meet together. I'll give you some free information. You don't have to work with me. If you like me and I like you, we'll talk about next steps. However, if we do decide to work together, I offer a free service called an educational home tour. What is that? Well, a lot of people like the freedom to go tour open houses, to look online. They don't want an agent breathing down their neck all the time, but they don't know what they're looking at. Well, what I do is I empower you to go look at houses on your own, or call me. I'll you know, I can do same day showings, you know, faster than Redfin. I'm right there. I'm ready to help you. However, if you want to fly solo for a couple of months because you're early, I'm going to take you out for 3 hours. We're going to go look at all the houses and condos. I'm going to tap on the walls. I'm going to tap on the counter. I'm going to show you good flooring, bad flooring, cheap carpet, good carpet. And I'm going to empower you to know what you're looking at. Does that sound like it would be helpful to you? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, great. When can we meet? That one value prop alone could be enough to get you an appointment, because everybody has data, but very few people have a guide to interpret that data. And that's where I've positioned myself as a guide, where we're going, basically, I'm just showing them houses, but I've put my own spin on it, calling it an educational home tour, and they eat it up. Short notice showings, we have to be able to compete against the online brokers. And what do people want? They want to hit a button, see a house. Well, I've positioned myself for same day showings. However, the reality is most people don't take me up on it. So it's not like a big risk if you offer this to people. I would offer it. Negotiation tips, off-market homes, guiding them through the basic process, being kind and caring. All these things are basic value props. The list goes on and on. Pick a few and don't say them all to the same. Don't just start talking fast. Like, be thoughtful, little by little, give it to them. Don't give everybody everything. So I told you I have a nice PowerPoint deck that I built. I would encourage you to do the same. If anybody emails me, I don't sell it. I don't give it out. It's not an option. It took me too long. But you can build your own and you can make it look good. And mine looked pretty ugly at first, and eventually I paid $500 and had it professionally designed. So have that up on your screen. Usually the PowerPoint, if you have a couple of cool slides, is enough to say, hey, can I show you something? And you can usually get the appointment if you have something to show them. And mix that with the educational home tour. It should be money for you. All right, so here's one slide that I started with, and I got this, I literally just ripped this from Gary Keller's annual meeting that he does. So I didn't make this up. You can probably pull something similar from whatever service you use that can pull charts. I made this one myself. This is the process. You're welcome to take a picture of it and reproduce it. And this is my talking points where I explain some homes are red hot, some homes are not, and kind of the whole process. So this right here has gotten me a lot of deals. I've got this little process where I explain it's not just about money, it's also about some of these other terms. And mine is extensive. These are like 5%. My deck is pretty huge. Schools, I built this myself. This is one, it's kind of ugly, but I built this. This is my city of Kirkland. So I kind of explain how this part of the city is more expensive than this part, you know. So I use these things to be my local market expert. And all I did was find this image on Google, and I overlaid this stuff to it. So qualifying. Not all leads are equal, and following up with everybody equally is a time waster. So when you're in an open house, people are coming in the door. You don't know who they are or who they're not, but you're going to start to see patterns. You're going to start to see people, and you're going to start to qualify in your brain if these people are worth your time or if these people are not worth your time. Some of it I can put into words for you, and some of it you won't be able to put into words until you do a lot of open houses and you perfect a sixth sense inside of yourself. But ultimately, you're looking for a red dot. I only care about one thing, one appointment with a red dot every open house. Everybody else can go look at the bathroom without me. I don't care. You know, I know it sounds harsh, but ultimately I do want to help them. But if I have multiple people talking to me and I have a red dot, I literally get tunnel vision, and I just keep talking to the red dot. Because if you take your eye contact away from your red dot and you try to talk to 2 or 3 people, the red dot will leave and you have lost a deal. Just give them your attention. Say, yes, ma'am, the bathroom's that way. Yes, ma'am, thank you so much. And then, yes, sir, that way, and then right here, this is my red dot. Now, what is the definition of a red dot? A white, in my mind, is not a prospect. They're just a looky-loo. Blue, like light blue, is a weak prospect. Maybe they're 2 years out. Yeah, I'm 8 years out. I'm just checking the market. Purple is an okay prospect, but they won't meet with you or whatever. Red is a strong prospect. So my ideal prospect, I'm going to give you my criteria, and I'm going to say 80% of the time I can hit every one of these items. Now, sometimes it will be a little deviation, but if you know what your standard is, you have a firm standard as to what your red dot is, you don't have to put up with people pushing you around, asking for commission discounts, you know, all this stuff, not showing up to the appointments, disrespecting you. If you know what your red dot is and you can go generate more red dots, then people, they have to play ball your way. Otherwise, it's a waste of your time. So my red dots are nice. They will talk to me. They don't try to escape the kitchen. No agent. They're open body language, right? They're not like looking like this, and they're like not want to talk to me. Just started looking, might not know the area very well, set up for an appointment on the spot, shows up to the appointment, signs my buyer agency agreement, applies with my lender, and they thank me all the time. My ideal client thanks me all the time, and I don't give them any money back. So let's talk about closing for an appointment. We already talked about that. Push-pull sales, I can't go into that right now. We're almost out of time, but basically, like, I don't know if I have time, but you know, let me check my calendar. So the whole time I'm selling, I'm push-pull, you know, like, I don't know how to go into great detail on that, but I got to be okay with some awkward moments. When I'm closing and they're like, I don't know if I want to meet with you, I have to be okay with that moment getting a little weird and me saying, well, why not? Why don't you want to meet with me? And kind of putting the corkscrew on them a little bit to close for that appointment. I ask for an appointment 2, 3, 4 different ways. And the expert tip is don't look desperate, be helpful, and don't beg for the appointment. We've got 5 minutes. All right. So here's the basic script, which you can see. Most people who are early don't want to be rushed. Is that you? So I already know that about my ideal client at open houses. They don't want to be rushed. And if I try to close for an appointment, they'll say, oh, I don't want to be rushed. But if I say it first and I preempt that and I say, hey, you don't want to be rushed, do you? No, I don't want to be rushed. Come meet with me. So if I say it first, then they don't feel rushed for some reason. Most people who are early don't want to be rushed. Is that you? I'm not sure if this would help you. Let me throw it out there. Depending on my schedule, I sometimes sit down with a family who is early and does not want to be rushed to share some helpful information. It takes a long time, so I don't do this for everybody. This PowerPoint is basic information, and it covers the whole buying process. When is money due? Your best opportunity to save money through negotiation. We also discuss off-market homes and winning in multiple offer situation. For people who are early, it helps them process. So if a good house comes on the market, they aren't rushing around being stressed, trying to figure everything out on a Saturday night. That sounds bad, doesn't it? Has anyone sat down with you to explain this info? No? No, you haven't heard this? If I found some time on my calendar, would you be open to sitting down with me to learn this information? No obligation, just helpful information. Let me check my calendar. Yeah, this works. Does Tuesday at 4 work? Yeah, I'm pretty busy this week. Let me, oh, I already did that. Do afternoons or evenings work for you? Evenings, great. You're gonna get a lot out of this. Let me give you an appointment confirmation sheet. Please initial here to reserve your appointment. Whoa, why do I need to initial here? Look, you're just reserving your appointment. Now I only have a few appointments each week. I'm blocking, this is what I call the guilt trip. You gotta leave them with a little bit of a guilt trip. I only have a few appointments each week. I'm blocking this out for you. You're not gonna get stuck in traffic, are you? Cancel on me? You're not gonna do that, are you? No? Okay, good. And you can say it with a smile or whatever, but when I added the guilt trip and the signed appointment confirmation form, my conversion went way up. I set a Gmail calendar with multiple reminders. They get a pop-up reminder 45 minutes before the appointment. They get an email reminder 90 minutes before the appointment, or no, 1 day before. I call them, I text them to confirm. And then I also, if they seem really interested, I'll say, do you want to write an offer? And I'll skip the appointment step and say, let's write an offer right now. Here's my calendar. I have all my calendar time blocked so that I look very busy and they know they can't have just any appointment. This is the form you can get at that link. This is the form where it also has all these bullets to remind them of why, because they'll forget you and they won't want to meet with you. But if they can remember, why did they set this appointment? This is the text I use inside of the Gmail appointment reminder. And I also use BombBomb, and I'll send them a BombBomb text right after they leave so they can kind of remember my face. This is the open house report I send to the listing agent before I leave, and it's very detailed, and they love me, and they start calling me. Listing agents start calling me saying, do you want to hold my open house? All right, so we're almost out of time. Kevin, how much time do we have before it stops going live?
We are good. You got it. If you want to take another 5 minutes, you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. So the anatomy of a buyer consultation, because if you get them to your office and you can't close them, you're not going to make money. So here's the anatomy of a good buyer consultation. Build rapport and trust, establish your expertise, explain the overall buying process, avoid common transaction pitfalls, obtain a signed commitment, establish a budget and search for homes, pin down the next steps. So you can do this however you want. I have a fancy deck and a fancy PowerPoint that takes me through the whole thing. So here's that script I already taught you guys, which is don't bring business cards. People rarely will call you back. If you give the business card, I don't know about you, but I rarely get a phone call. So keep the power by you getting their information. Here's the script. Let me email you my information and you can reach out whenever you're ready. What's the best email address for you? Down tonality, embedded command. You're not asking, you're telling. What's the best email address for you? And a good phone number. Looking down, not really asking, telling. For me, here's my conversion. I do about 6 opens. I can get about 3 deals. So it's pretty high conversion. It takes me about 25 to 30 hours to get those 3 deals. If you count the putting up the signs, going to the open, coming back to my office, doing all the follow-up calls, putting them in my database, all that stuff. It's pretty good though. I mean, obviously farming or you know, some kind of past clients would be faster, but as far as lead generation goes, it works for me. The goal is 1 appointment, 2 nurtures, meet right away, blah, blah, blah. A new agent should really do 10 to 12 opens per month. Has this been helpful? Hope so. If you happen to have any Seattle area referrals, please consider reaching out. I would love to help them. Obviously, I do a good job with that stuff. So again, back to that slide that I gave you before. Go to my website. If you guys are just tuning in, let me see if I can pull it up for you.
Real quick, guys, too, on the link, if you go in all lowercase, no caps at all.
Oh, the caps don't work?
Yeah, if you use any caps, it does not work. But
All right.
if you go all lowercase, I just put it in there for you. That should work.
All right.
Yep,
So
I just checked it, went right to Adam's
use
website.
this, no capitalization, bit.ly/free open house class. No capitalization. So I was trying to make it easy for you, but if you go to that, you'll have my full 2-hour class where I'm not talking so fast. We do more role play and all the whole pack. It's totally free. I'm not trying to sell anything. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. And if you need something or have a question, please reach out. My email is adam@adamhometeam.com. Again, I'll make you this offer. If you go and record yourself at an open house, as long as it's within all the laws and everything, you can email me the clip and I will review it and tell you my advice and maybe give you free coaching in that regard. All right. So I hope that's been beneficial to you.
Adam, thanks a lot so much for doing this for Next Level Agents. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. You didn't have to do this. You guys, Adam does this class along with the 2-hour class for, he charges. Like, he doesn't do this for free. He did this for us for free because he believes in giving back to the community. So definitely Seattle area referrals. Think of Adam. And everyone thank him. If you thought this was good, go post in the Facebook group or comment on the thread of this and give Adam some kudos because I think he kicked ass. So great job, Adam. Thanks a lot, guys. And thank you very much, Next Level Agents. We'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thanks.